Hi, I'm Louisa Sijabat, a liquidator and bankruptcy trustee. So today's question is, what creditors are eligible to have their debts effectively reduced under a small business restructuring? So the answer to this question is it's unsecured creditors where the debts typically do not have a personal guarantee provided. Let me explain why. If a creditor is secured, that means they have some sort of security, typically over assets of the business or elsewhere. Even with a small business restructuring happening, those secured creditors still have access to or recourse to their security assets, which means typically if there were to be a shortfall, as in the assets are not worth enough to cover the debt to that secured creditor, they can participate for the shortfall amount. But if their debt is wholly covered by the security asset, they would just go to the asset for payment if needed. So secured debts are typically not effectively restructured under a small business restructuring unless there's a shortfall, and yes, then that shortfall can and must be included. Also, if a debt is covered by a personal guarantee, the small business restructuring can only compromise the company's liability to creditors. But a personal guarantee is often given by an individual, such as the director personally as an individual. This personal liability cannot be compromised by a small business restructuring. So even if the company's liability to pay is compromised, what that means is typically that party, often a financier or any other party with a personal guarantee, will just turn around to the guarantor, the director, for example, personally, and say, well, if the company's not paying, you personally must pay, which means that the debt is only moving, it's not actually being reduced in totality, which means personally guaranteed debts are typically not effectively restructured under a small business restructuring. Other types of creditors are effectively compromised and restructured as part of the small business restructuring. The most common of these is the ATO. So ATO debts are effectively or can effectively be restructured under a small business restructuring, and that is what we commonly find that companies are using the SBR process for.